You have 6 o'clock?
Yep. Go ahead.
All right. At this time, I'm going to call the meeting to order for the City of Mangum special meeting, June 11th, 2020. And could I please have a roll call?
Gay.
Here.
Reese.
Here.
Webb.
Here.
Bowman.
Okay, we do have a quorum at this time. Let's look at item number 3 is the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the special meeting on May the 7th, the ones on May the 22nd, approve the May 2020 claims, June 2020 estimated payroll, approve the resolution 2020-39 to amend the budget for the library grant fund, and approve the resolution 2020-40 to amend the budget for the general fund and the fire grant fund. At this time, do I have a motion?
I'd make that
Item
motion.
first. Anybody want to take anything off the agenda? Consent agenda. Okay. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Can you please call for a vote? Any discussion?
Okay.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Gay.
Yeah.
Okay, motion carries to approve the consent agenda. And item number 5, financial report by the city manager.
Okay, you should see on your screen now, this is April's numbers. We're still looking pretty good. This, of course, when you look at April's numbers, you're really looking at March's numbers because for sales tax anyway. What you're seeing is what we kind of expected, that it was going to go up a hair from last month, and then the use tax, of course, that went up way up from last year and last month. And again, we were kind of expecting that to happen as folks were starting to get ready and starting to lock themselves down. There's on the bottom there, you're going to see that the MUA is not doing well right now. We made an adjustment to last month's the May transfer. We did not make the transfer from MUA to the general fund because the general fund is doing pretty well. So we hope that once May comes online with getting everything reported, that utility balance is going to be in the positive and we'll be all right. So here is our sales tax and kind of showing where we're at and where we were last year. We're just slightly down from last year. And our use tax, you can see that's way up. The really phenomenal news, and what Billy and I were talking about it today, and we just cannot understand how it's happening, is that the April actual April sales tax, it only went down 2,000. We were expecting it to drop 75% and be down somewhere in the teens, but it only dropped $2,000, and it's sitting right at 43. So if you look up here, that's right in line with whatever we've been making on sales tax throughout this whole thing. So we don't understand it. We know that United has done really, really well with sales. We know that Ace Hardware has done well with sales, but I just, it's amazing that we haven't seen the drop. The biggest one is you see here this 9.5 for use tax. Next month's is 10,500. So that has gone up. And if we continue to see these kinds of numbers, we're going to be in great shape. We have prepared for these numbers to drop, though, and that's what you guys, the budget that you have and you're going to hope approve tonight, is reflecting a drop in the sales tax. So that is it for my financial report.
Does anybody have any questions? If not, item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve FY 2021 annual budget as submitted by the city manager. Do I have a motion?
So move.
So moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion on that? I would like to comment that we did have a special meeting for our, not a special meeting, but an open meeting for our budget last Tuesday, and
Public hearing.
public hearing. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. So that if anybody was interested, they could look in on that. So any discussion? If not, call for a vote, please.
Reese,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Gay,
Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda, number 7, is discussion and possible action to approve the estimate to repair the damage to the water department pickup. The damage was caused by a traffic collision with a deer. Do we know how much that is?
Yeah, we got 2 estimates and they're in your packets. I will go ahead and share the screen here so we can be in full compliance. We got an
We lose Dave.
Dave?
my
Okay.
There you are.
go. You went
Hello.
blank for a minute.
okay. Where did I leave off?
We got it.
We're going to
We
look.
have 2
start from the
estimates.
beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got 2 estimates, one from Epic Collision out of Altus, and their estimate is 45 or 54, 48, 74. And then we got the second estimate is Good's Body Shop here in Mangum. And his estimate for it was 5506. If, you know, there can be, and Corey, you're going to have to really talk us through this. There can be allocations or allowances for local specialists who are also city employees. Good's Body Shop is obviously owned and run and operated by Jeff Good, and he's our fire chief. He has done work for us in the past, and that's been on of course, we went out to bid, and he was the only one that bid out. But we've got 2 bids, one in Altus, one locally, and they're pretty close to each other. I do not want to make a recommendation. Corey, you want to talk about allowances for using local versus, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I'm actually in the process of doing a memo. That was something that Dave actually signed to me before the COVID-19 hit, and that kind of got pushed to the side, but I'm planning on getting that memo drafted and to everybody. But in short, you can favor a local vendor over a out of non-local vendor. We'll just use it that because it goes based on mile radius. So there's really no like hard fast rules to it, except for that. I mean, these are relatively close. It's not like one's extremely higher than the other, and you just have to make that determination in your motion.
Yeah, they're within 2 or 3% of each other.
Yeah,
I mean,
less than $60 difference.
yeah, I would make a motion that we accept Good's estimate to repair the water
Yeah,
truck.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on that? Okay, not call for a vote, please.
Reese,
Yes.
Gay,
yes,
Webb,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Going on to item number 8, discussion and possible action to approve the Prisoners Public Works Project contract with the Oklahoma Department of Corrections.
There is really no change to this. We're it's our standard. In fact, the amount hasn't gone up. Nothing. There's no change to what we did last year. So the two that we're going to be at the golf course, I want to hold on to them because I think we can use them elsewhere. We keep running ourselves into situations where we don't have enough over at the recycle center, or the street department has a project that they need to do that they're going to need more help with, and I think we can do some good with having those two folks work with the city rather than working out of the golf course.
Did
Dave.
we get any kind of discount or for the time that we didn't have them?
Yeah, and there's going to have to be another discussion because they have said that they're going to give us June for free. My problem is that they pulled those inmates back in March, so we haven't had them in 3 months.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem right that you're going to give us 1 month off versus you've held them back from us for 3. So it's a conversation that we're going to have with the state. And of course, that's not our local guys that are making that decision.
Right.
It's the state making that call. So, when they come down and they say, this is what you're going to have to do, this is what we're going to have to do.
Dave, what about, we had a conversation earlier this week with regards to liability and things like that and making things right. I'm going back to that. So the issues at the golf course with somebody leaving, a manhole or whatever open.
Right.
I'll just be quite honest. There are times that I drive by the recycle center and there's multiple people just standing out. It hasn't been recent because we haven't had there, but I struggle with, and I know we've had this conversation about 2 years ago and again last year about this time. I struggle with renewing that contract at all.
And I understand that completely. And the last, in response to that, the last 3 months have really taught us how much we need them.
But what's different for us at the recycle center, at the park, or anything else, and liability issues in the event that they do something or could do something that ends up hurting somebody? And then I know we're not responsible because that's the way the law is written, but that's not that's not good sense to our community.
Right. I understand it. I do. We're getting rid of the liability at the golf course. That was a major one. The park is the other one of concern. The rest of them, if they're working on a street, they're working on a street. And they're really supposed to be doing public works anyway, because that is literally what the contract says. It's a public works contract. But they are only really supposed to be doing mowing and weeding of right-of-ways and other city property, repairing streets, tree trimming, painting, carpentry, mechanic, as well as other numerous jobs in and around the city. That's it. I think if we keep monitoring and we keep watching and we keep control of our own people, we've had problems with that in the past. If we don't have them, we're going to have to hire more people, and it's going to cost us a lot more. Right now, they're having a heck of a time just keeping up with the grass that we're responsible for cutting with the folks that we have. It's like having 15 people gone. 11 of those and a couple of others that are on, well, they're back to work now, but when you lose that kind of manpower, it hurts. And these guys have been busting their tails to try and keep up. And it's hard. It's incredibly hard to do. I talk to Chris just about every day, and he's telling me how much they're getting done and they're not getting done. So I wish we could get rid of them. I wish that we didn't need them. And I really wish that we could cancel the contract and just be done with them. But I don't see how we can do it.
What's requiring the most, what's the most labor intense thing that we're doing that we're utilizing for?
Mowing. I mean, mowing is number one. We are responsible for mowing more property than you could ever imagine.
How many mowers do we have that we're utilizing?
We have 4 mowers plus the tractor. We have a tractor with a flail mower behind it, and those mowers right now are running 8 hours a day. So yeah.
How come we couldn't just reduce it down to 5? If that's all if that's our most labor intensive, reduce it down to 5.
Well, we still have to run the recycle yard too. So I've got people now that are doing splitting time in between doing the recycle center, because we have to have 2 people there with all the lifting and all of the stuff that we have to do. So we're manning the recycle center. We're still required to mow the golf course, and we've done a horrible job at being able to do that, just because we don't have the manpower to do everything we need to do. And that is going to change, we hope, with the new contract, but we're going to need to, if we don't have them in the recycle center, we're going to have to close the recycle center. If we don't have them out in, even if we had just 5, if we want to take this down to 5, the difference is really kind of negligible. I mean, it's 400,
and I'm not talking about
1,400 a month.
And I'm not talking about the money part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about why not start working towards reducing our dependency on them now, versus I don't disagree. We couldn't take the cut. What is it, 13 or 11?
Right now it's 11 that we're
Okay.
requesting.
I'm not saying that we could take an immediate cut of 11. I'm just saying, why not reduce it of the number that we're using?
And I would, if we're going to do that, I would say reduce it by 2, because those 2 are not going to be required at the golf course per our conversation.
Well, but you kind of opened with, you can use them in other places.
I can,
And
but if we're talking about getting rid of, reducing our load of these inmates, I would say then we reduce by the 2 that we are pulling off.
Couple of things. What's the difference, financially in just 2 though? And I mean, not much. And I've dealt with working with inmates some, and I know that if you need 9 and you have 9, there's a high likelihood that 2 of them aren't worth much. So if you need 9, you almost have to have 11 to get 9 that will work.
But this is my thought process. When we had this conversation 2 years ago, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, during that discussion, we were looking at completely dismantling or not even involving any of them in a workforce.
And that,
If
yeah,
it
you're
is-
absolutely right. Yes. Yeah,
if
we
it's
did
a
have those
live-
discussions.
If it's a liability to have them work for us, to our citizens, and the liability is if a citizen gets hurt on something that they touch, then the city's not responsible for, and it's back over to the citizens, which in my opinion isn't fair. What I'm saying is, and I'm not talking about the financial part of it, I'm talking about why not, if that is the direction that we want to look at, which in my opinion, that's what we want to look at, it is take off. We got at some point start somewhere. Otherwise, we're going to continue to ask for 11 every year. Why not? Let's start cutting back and see what we can do. That's my thought.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I can see that, Ronnie, but one thing I want to point out was his Dave's comment at the beginning is like, he has realized how important they are for us to get what we need to have done. And if we don't have them, and then I want to point out one other thing, and I understand the liability thing, but I want to point out that how many years have we had inmates come in and help us? And when you look over the span of the time that we've had them and all the things that are involved, there have been very little problems with the liability issue. And the one that came up here the last time was probably one of the more come out thing that it showed. And before that, it's funny. I don't know why, but there wasn't any major issues.
Didn't we
And,
have like 40, 48, 52, something like that when they were in the armory that worked for the
Oh,
city?
yeah.
They-
I mean,
I'm-
I used to go, I was a certified DOC volunteer, so I could go pick them up, and I would pick them up and go do stuff. I did find out later that I wasn't supposed to be doing it for the church, and I said, well, why didn't you tell us? But
Well,
there were a lot.
But I'm aware of,
Financially, I know that's not what you're focusing on, but it is something we kind of have to consider, because if we start reducing those numbers, I mean, if we said, okay, we're going to hire more staff and completely not use inmates, can we go two? Can we get 2 staff members for the 11, or is it just 1?
Really what you're looking at is a kind of a 3-to-1 ratio. And it really kind of goes to what you were saying earlier is when you get 11, 9 of them are great. So 3 inmates is the equivalent of what we can get on 1 full-time employee. The advantage of having a full-time employee is we don't, number one, we don't have to stop work early for a full-time employee to take them back to Granite. And we don't have to deal with the meals and just all the there's so many advantages to not. And if I could hire 5 more people, I would happily shred this contract. But we would have to hire 5 more people.
well, and Mary Jane, on your point, I've only been a part of the commission 3 years, but I know of 2 specific incidents or 3 specific incidents in these 3 years that I've been involved, involving inmates that have put liability at an issue. And I know one of them I think all of them involved a citizen in some way.
And I'll say this, and take it for what it is. We've got another case brewing right now. And I don't want to go into the specifics of it because it's in litigation. But
I mean, my point is if we want to stop becoming reliant, I agree. We will eventually have to hire, and that should be our goal, is to increase the number of citizens we hire and not the number of inmates we hire, because that will provide income or some other stuff for our citizens versus bringing in people that, I mean, that's my thought.
So what, Dave, what do your department heads want? I mean, those that are working with them.
I'll say the water department doesn't want them. The electric department can't have them. So it's the street department doing all the patching and the graveling and alley work. It's the parks department doing the cemeteries. If we have two guys out doing the cemeteries, which is what we're doing right now, it'll take them a full week to get through Riverside because it's so packed, crammed in there. You can't just go flat out. You have to do it very slowly and you have to do it methodically. So it takes them 5 days to do Riverside. When we had those inmates, it takes them 3 days to do it. And if you look at, you've got Riverside, then you have Roselawn, which takes 3 days for 2 people to do, or a day and a half for all of our inmates to do. There's a timeline of how much can you get done in a week. And if we have to mow, I'll say this, the folks of Mangum are very proud of Riverside. And if we do not cut that for 1 week, we will hear it. You will hear it, and you're going to call me. So we've got to cut Riverside every other week.
Yeah, and we're kind of fortunate. I say fortunate. We've got hot, dry weather right now, so probably not going to be as much mowing, but yeah. Well,
I'm happy to reduce it by 2. I am. I think we can do it if that's what we want to do. I have
Make a
no problem
motion
with
that
that.
we enter into the contract for 9 inmates.
What did you say, Ron? I'm sorry.
Make a motion that we
You make-
enter into the contract for 9 inmates.
Okay, we
And
have a motion
I'd second that.
we have a motion and a second to enter into the contract with the DOC for 9 inmates for the Prisoners Public Works Project contract. Any other discussion that you would like to have on this matter? Now, Dave, you think we can do it with 9?
Yes. Absolutely. I do. That gives
Okay.
us 5. That gives us 5 for, 4 for the Parks Department, 3 for, 3 for the recycle, and 2 for streets.
Okay. Any other discussion, comments? Okay, call for a vote, please.
Webb,
Yes.
Gay,
Yeah,
Reese,
yes.
Okay, motion carries. Number 9, discussion of possible action to approve the lease contract with Southwest Oklahoma Community Action Group for the meal site. Do I have a motion?
I'd
Yeah.
make that motion.
Okay, second.
yeah.
Okay, have motion and second. Any discussion on this? Dave, would you like to give us any details? Is it the same or what?
Well, we've asked Virginia Goski here to kind of talk to us about this. And the reason we brought her here was because Billy and I were under the impression that members of the commission wanted to have a discussion with SOCOG about what we're doing and what is our responsibilities and how this whole thing was working out. I don't remember exactly what that conversation was about. And who wanted that conversation, but I've asked Virginia to be here in case anybody remembers that and wants to have it now.
Ronnie's the one that had asked for them to come last year. He wanted to know where
I wasn't going to throw him under the bus, but if you want to
you
do
can
that,
throw me under the bus.
Well,
I
it
don't
was,
care.
he wanted to know the status on what they can pay and what they can't on their financial. That's
Well,
what you
and
said last year.
yeah, and I know, speaking to some individuals in some other towns, I know the service has been discontinued in some of the other towns. So, and I want to keep it here. So I am curious of, are we still in a good place? Are things worse or better than it was 2 years ago when we entered into this?
So Virginia, could you address us on all that?
Well, I'm gonna hand it over to Kristen because she's our number person. So
Okay.
I'm gonna hand it over to Kristen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I know that we met with several people a couple of years ago, and it's been an ongoing discussion of funding because we kept getting funding cuts for our programs, and we have been struggling for, multiple years, and our agency has had to put in a whole lot of local funds to keep this program operating. I think that they have given nutrition programs a little bit more money, from my understanding, that we will see a little bit of an increase for this year. I don't want to say fortunately for this virus, but due to this virus, we have, they have, released some more funding for our nutrition program, and that has allowed us a little bit more room. And by saying that, when I say a little bit more room, we're kind of confident that it has bought us another year to get through. We hope that after this year, then we can continue. But if, things go back to what they were and the money doesn't increase like they say it should increase, we will be struggling after that year, and we will have to come up with a better plan of, it's a possibility of shutting down, for the entire program. But right now, we have hope that we've kind of got a little bit of a, year's cushion, and we think that we can get through another year at least. And, with things the way that they are, we did this past year, we got approval to go to a 4-day operating site. And so we were only operating 4 days a week versus the 5 days a week. However, with that said, our new year begins July 1, and we will have to go back to operating at the 5 days. So that is going to increase our expenses, quite a bit more to operate at the 5 day, because we have not gotten approval by the state to continue operating at 4 days.
How many participants are you having in the program on a weekly basis?
Of course, right now, I hope you are aware that because of COVID-19,
Right.
everybody's picking up or we are delivering. So we're probably averaging about 40 meals a day is what the meal site is doing in Mangum right now. And we're offering, this is by the state, but we are also doing weekend meals. So on Thursday, they get extra meals for that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So for the month of May, pickup meals for Mangum was 527. Home delivered meals was 713.
Wow. Were your numbers higher pre-COVID, or were they lower since you all weren't delivering?
It was about the same, except that everybody that rode the bus automatically went to home delivered meals because they couldn't get to the meal site. So that's how come we have a lot more home delivered. Also, the state of Oklahoma has decided that if anybody needed a meal, of course, during this time, that we would try to help them out during this time.
So with the funding what is it, 500 a month, Dave?
yes, that's correct. 500 a month. I
Is
had to
that-
turn my video off. I'm having some real bad connectivity issues here, so hopefully turning off my video might help.
The 500 a month, is that sufficient to sustain what we need here in Mangum?
Are you asking us or, sorry?
Yes, yes, I'm asking y'all.
Yes, Kristen, I think he's
Okay.
asking you.
Okay, so I think how it happens is like we pay for the usage and then we get a reimbursement back of $500 a month. And so then we end up paying the difference for this past year up and through April. I don't have May's yet. The difference that we have paid out was $1,165.57.
Kristen, that was for the year, you mean?
That's from July 1 of 2019 through April 30th
Okay.
of this year. Yes.
Are y'all cooking any meals on site, or are y'all bringing those in?
We're transporting those in, yes.
And the bulk of that is electric?
Yes. We're bringing the meals in with Southwest Transit, and then Beth and her volunteers package it there at the meal site.
I think for I think for March and April, I think the bills were around 480 or 490 a month. But when I was looking back through like February, January-ish, I mean, they go 500-600. One of them was like 900 almost. I mean, so they have some that are higher, but for the most part, they're usually right at 500 or $100 more. So.
Okay, any more discussion and questions for Kristen? Okay, if not, we have this on the table to approve this lease agreement. We have a motion and a
You
second
do have
already.
a motion, yeah.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Can Billy, if there's no more discussion, Billy, would you call for a vote?
Gay,
Yeah,
Reese,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Kristen, very much. I appreciate your participation in our meeting.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. Thank you for the invite.
You're welcome. Okay, next, item number 10, discussion and possible action to approve the engagement letter with Jana A. Walker, CPA, for the FY20 audit. Do I have a motion
I'll make the motion to approve the Jana Walker.
and a second? Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion now. Tell us, Dave, about this.
Okay, so we switched over to Jana Walker last year to do our public audit, annual audit. She did a fantastic job for us. And she's willing to come back and do it again for us. The amount we save by using Jana Walker as our auditor versus the previous vendor, I think we save about 10 grand, right,
What?
Billy?
I think so.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. It was like 29,000. This is yeah. It would save a lot of money, and she does a much better job. So we absolutely 100%. She has my support, and I would every day from here until Sunday will tell you we need to approve this.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Can any more discussion or questions? If not, call for a vote, Billy.
Reese,
Yes.
Gay,
yeah,
Webb,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to item number 11, discussion and possible action to approve the joint jail contract with the Board of County Commissioners for Greer County. Do I have a motion?
question, anything different, Dave?
No, but during discussion, I'll bring up what I would like to see changed on it.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, now let's discuss what's going on. Go ahead, Dave.
If you look at, if you have it right there, item number 5 on this agreement, I've got a problem with. I know my chief has a problem with this, and it says that the city shall be responsible for providing all dispatcher personnel. That's not what we have a problem with. The dispatcher will assist the jailers if and when necessary. My problem with this is that our dispatchers are not trained jailers, nor are they do they go to any kind of special schooling for this, and you really need to have that. I've got a problem with the jail using our person basically as a number. And I get it. I understand why they want it, and I understand the purpose behind it. I just don't want us to get ourselves into a situation where if we really are required to assist as a jailer, then they need to have that training, and the county really needs to provide that training. And we need to have the discussion as to whether that training is available and whether the county's willing to give it to us, or if we need to just line that out of the contract.
Well, they don't come on board as jailers, do they?
No, they are not jailers. They are dispatchers.
And the point to that is that's what they applied for. That's what they wanted to do. They didn't want to do jailers.
That's correct.
Yeah, I say we just line it out.
I agree with that.
I would,
To me, that's another liability situation.
Yeah. You thought the jails or the inmates was a high liability issue. This one drives me nuts.
I'd amend the motion to enter into the contract with that correction to item number 5.
To remove the
Remove-
dispatcher will assist the jailers if and when necessary.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll second
Okay.
the amended motion.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask, we have an amended motion. We now have a second. Any more discussion on this? Any other parts, Dave, that we need to look at?
Yes, Corey. We now have a adjustment to this that is not approved by the commission, the county commission. We can approve our discussion on this, but it's not going into effect until the county commissioners agree to it, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. What happens if the county commissioners don't agree to it?
Then we don't have a joint use agreement.
Right.
So what happens then?
Oh, we got a problem.
We
Renegotiate.
just don't.
We
we
got to
don't have-
renegotiate. Yeah.
The county should approve it. They approved our other changes that we made not too long ago.
Yeah. And I get it. I understand why they want to, why they have that statement in there.
Well, we could just let them take over the 911 and they could pay all their, those employees and hire them themselves.
I
didn't
like
say
that idea.
Not gonna happen right now, but maybe work towards it.
Right. And then they could be jailers and dispatchers at the same time.
They'll approve it.
Okay.
Okay, we have an amended motion and a second. If there's not any more discussion, Billy, would you call for a vote, please?
Webb,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Now we're going on to item number 12, discussion and possible action to amend and renew the maintenance contract with West Texas Turf.
I'd say we table this.
Okay,
This
That
was
is-
put on, this was put on before we had our conversation on Monday.
okay,
And we
So
just didn't
we'll-
remove it.
okay, so we'll
All right.
table that.
You want to table
No
or no action
No act, well,
at this time?
You want to no action it.
no action.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. No action at this time. Item number 13, discussion and possible action to surplus a 2011 Ford F-150 from the police department to transfer said vehicle to the county sheriff's department. Do I have a
So-
motion?
Okay.
Did I have a motion?
Yeah, also move.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Okay, now discussion on this.
Okay, so the purpose behind this is item, sorry, I need to get back to my agenda numbers here. Item number 13 and item number 14 are the same. We are basically requesting, the sheriff's department is requesting a truck because their car, that Charger, is not good for county work. It doesn't work well on dirt roads. The car itself is in great shape. They have meticulous maintenance records on it. And I know that, and the sheriff's department knows that the Ford F-150 is going to need a little bit of work on the front end. And they're willing to accept that. So the chief has requested that we approve this. I have no problem with it. I think we're getting a pretty good deal out of it. And if this Charger turns into a nightmare, that's the next vehicle to get replaced anyway, was that Ford F-150. So we're not in any worse shape than we were.
What's the appraisal value of each?
I don't have the exact appraisal value. I know that the Charger is worth more in the condition that it's in, because the F-150 needs work. I mean, it needs about $4,000 worth of body, or not body work, but front end work.
Yeah. Must be
Okay.
3 years and newer.
Yeah, and it's 3 years newer.
Okay.
And it's in really good shape. Chief Paxton has gone through that vehicle. He has looked at it, and he says this is going to be a good deal for us. And that 2011 wasn't even on the street anyway, so this is going to put another car on the street.
Okay, any more discussion? Call for a vote, please, on item number 13.
Webb,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Gay,
Yeah,
Okay, motion carries. Going on to item number 14, discussion possible action to accept the transfer of the Dodge Charger from the county sheriff's department. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Ron made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah.
I have a second by Ronnie. Any discussion on that?
Has the county commissioners already approved this one?
I was just going to say, so the county commissioners have it on their agenda, their next agenda, to do the exact same thing that we're doing right now. So essentially they have to do the exact same thing to surplus the Charger. This is just the action to say, yes, we're going to accept it when they do it.
Okay, anything else? If not, call for a vote, Billy.
Reese,
Yes.
Gay,
Yeah,
Webb,
Yes.
Okay, item number 15, discussion possible action regarding the letter from Mangum Housing Authority requesting forgiveness for the payment in lieu of taxes in the amount of $58.44 or at least 21. Is that a misprint? That's evident.
Yeah, that is a misprint. I didn't
Cover
catch
the
it.
cost. Yeah, it's supposed to probably be 2156 or something.
I've got it right here. It's 2125.
Oh, okay, so it's got a 6 in there. It shouldn't have it.
Yep.
Okay, 2,125 to cover the cost of the upkeep of the city property located west of the housing complex That would leave a balance of $3,715 payable to the city. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on this, and Dave will probably tell you, I remember this from years past, Ron probably does too, about what we do.
Yeah, we
So
do this
that-
every year.
Yeah, we do this every year.
This has come up every year. Usually, typically, what we've done in the past is we retain our portion and allow them to keep the amount that they're maintaining our property. So we're basically kind of paying them to maintain some of our property that's out there that's attached to it, and it's kind of a part of their land out there.
Yeah, it's adjacent to it and they do maintain it
Yes,
well.
yes, they
My
do.
only question is the amount the same as it has been, or has that changed? I mean, I don't.
You would ask that question, Billy.
Or you asking the total amount?
Well,
It-
Billy, have we been paying the total amount, or have we been paying the partial?
We've been paying just what they tell us they owe, it costs them. But
Yeah.
the gross amount is about the same as it's been for years.
Okay.
And,
That's,
and the part that they're wanting for us to forgive, is that the $3,700?
Oh, that's what they're gonna pay us.
that's what they're
That's
gonna
what
pay.
they're gonna pay.
To forgive.
So the basics of it is that they owe us $58.44. Those funds come from the state and federal government. They're asking to keep those funds to help them offset costs and what have you. If we're not going to give them the full amount, then they're asking if they can keep $21.25 to upkeep our property. And in the past, it has been our kind of policy, and we don't really have a policy on it. It has to be a decision every year that we allow them to keep the amount for the property upkeep, which is that $21.25, and that would give us back $37.19.
Okay.
Dave,
that's what
my only question, and I asked this last year and I asked it again this year. I don't, how are we able to do it this way on this, but like with the mill site, we have to pay them and they turn around and pay us back.
They pay
How
the-
is this not the
Right.
same?
They're paying for utilities.
Oh, no, I get that, but so it's money owed us.
Right.
So I get that we're paying them for a service, and I feel like we need to be paying them for the service, which is separate than. I feel like we're running into a gift type of thing with taxpayer money.
Well, their breakdown
But
shows that they do, they did 19 mows and sprayed a couple of times. So we're just kind of reimbursing them back for the expenses that they're out keeping up our property.
Right, but they're doing it. They're asking for money that they spent during the year after the fact, and so they're asking us to go back in and approve something after the fact versus us
No,
paying for a service throughout the year, and those people are paying their electric bill.
Right. No, this isn't something that they've already paid. This is next year's mowings. They forecast how many mowings they have to do. So we've already paid for what mowing they're doing right now. We did that last year.
Okay,
So this isn't them doing a job and then getting paid for it. It's we're paying them to do the job by allowing them to keep this amount of money.
So Corey, I'm going to ask you: is there a difference or not a difference with regards to like this in the mill side?
No, this is kind of in a whole different area because at the mill site they're using a city building and paying city utilities. This is the pilot program of the payment in lieu of taxes is because we as a city gave up a piece of that property to be used for a federal program, so we can't collect taxes off that anymore. We can't use it for tax income. So that's what this program's kind of is born out of. So in short, we get this money because it's a creation of statute, and what we're doing is instead of us maintaining the park ourselves, we're waiving a portion of it. In the AG's opinion, they view it differently as well.
Okay, so it's not an issue then. And I
This
think
is
I have
not,
that-
and you got to understand one thing that's different here is that this is not the housing authority paying us. This 5,844, that's not, it comes from the housing office. Yes, it kind of flows through them. But this is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development that's paying us for this. They are funded to pay us this. And if you go online, I did some research on it today. This is the standard across the nation. The pilot program is there to pay local municipalities for the loss in revenue and the loss in taxes for untaxable land.
That makes sense.
We will never make sales tax on that piece of land.
Right. Well, I guess one way to look at it might be if we took over maintaining that land instead of allowing them to keep the 2,100, could we do it for less than 2,100? But I think when we discussed that last year, you said our manpower is just not there to add to that.
You're 100% right. I would not want
to take that on.
And
they do a great job. I think we discussed it too.
Yeah,
they keep up with it well, and it's something that is not an eyesore when you're driving into town from that direction.
And I'll tell you this, I mean, and in their defense, the housing authority takes better care of our land there than the city takes care of our lands in half of the rest of this city. They do an amazing job. So
and my question was more not that we shouldn't pay them, because they do a good job. It was, should we cut them a separate check for the service versus rebating something? That was more my question, because of the quote gift thing. That was my only question, not the fact that we shouldn't pay them for a service, because I think we should. It's similar to the other fact, should they not pay the entire portion and we pay them a check, or pay them a check, and either way instead of the rebate? That was my question.
I think it all boils down to manpower.
I've talked to some other towns around us. They do the same thing. They ask to keep it, and they're really, what they do is provide for any upkeep of the city property. And I think Hobart doesn't even get anything back. I'd heard back from them. So this is, I get what you're saying. I don't think it's really necessary. We have to do that, because that's it would be a whole separate thing that we're going to have to do, is to, take this back, this funding, and then we're going to have to approve a contract with them to take care of our property at a rate of $21.25. This is both a contract
I
and
just want to make sure I'm okay with, or that it's legit and we're not going to get in trouble for it. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
It's been done this way for a long time.
Well, I know, just because it has doesn't mean it's
That's true.
right. Because we did that with the mills.
Yep.
And so that's, I just want to make sure I'm covered.
And the answer to that should come from Corey.
I'm fine. I'm fine with the waiver fees. I mean that because again, these are voluntary payments anyway. The HUD could come out tomorrow and say we're quitting the pilot program, and then we don't get anything. So it's kind of a voluntary nature. So they have a formula they use saying this is how much we'll pay for the housing development, and they're just negotiating to pay a reduced price. So it's kind of, it's just, this is a weird thing, is the best way I can put it.
So Corey says it's good, so let's approve it.
Listen, I'm going to fall back on him now. So if I get charged with a crime, I'm going to go to Corey.
No, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Okay, the only other question I have is that it says or, it has the word or in here, in the amount of this, or at least 20. So the motion needs to say that that they would keep the 2125.
Yep.
Not the 5844.
Yeah, we needed to amend the motion then.
Who made the motion?
Reese.
Oh, okay.
Travis, yeah.
And I make
It was
the
so
motion
long ago.
that we approve the 2125 and not the full amount.
Okay. All right. We have the motion. Do I have a second on the amended motion?
I'll second the amended.
Okay. We have a second. Would you please, any more discussion? If not, call for a vote, Billy.
Webb.
Yes.
Jay.
Yeah.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to item number 16, discussion and possible action on closing the swimming pool for this season. We need to go ahead and get a motion.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, now let's discuss this.
Do you want to go with it, Ronnie, or?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
I mean, I talked to Misty too, so you go ahead, Ronnie.
There's definitely some damage to the pool. We don't know the extent of the damage. It was at the end of the season last year for the last 2 weeks, was losing between 1.5 feet to 2 feet of water daily. Not to mention there's some issues back in the where the chemicals are handled. There's a bunch of issues there. And then you talk about the pool house. There's quite a few safety issues inside the pool house. Plus it needs to be, once we figure out what those issues are, we need to repaint and reseal the pool itself. And there's no way that can be done and we can have people in that pool until that's over. And then you've got issues with certification of lifeguards. If we were to reopen it, we don't have enough people that were certified to be able to come back. I think there were 3, possibly 4 that were certified that could come back. And so we just wouldn't even have the personnel, even if we were in a position to open it.
Nor would we be able to maintain social distancing during this COVID event. That was one of my biggest concerns was when we first started talking about this, how are we going to, even if we had lifeguards at the pool, those lifeguards are supposed to be watching the water. They're not supposed to be watching who's 5 feet, 6 feet away from people on the pool deck. That's not what their responsibility is. They are there to save lives in the water. So I had strong concerns about social distancing in the pool, and I knew that we had some maintenance issues. So, yeah.
But the constant sanitation too, that would be required for people coming in and out of the pool house.
Yeah.
And, what's going to be required there, and the limiting the number of people that could come into the pool. And what do you do when someone drops off 3 or 4 children and then drives off, and then there you've got these extra, bodies here that you can't let in. I mean, there's lots of issues there during this COVID situation. I would like to say that when I talked to Misty, and just to tell people, Misty Lehman Webb was and has been the pool manager for many years. It's not going to be not doing it again even if it was open this year. She told me that Wellington is not opening their whack. The Wellington Activity Center and their pool is not going to be open this year at all. So they're going along with pretty much, even if our pool was in excellent condition, we don't have a certified pool manager, and we don't have enough, probably, I'm not sure, enough certified lifeguards to run the pool, not to mention all the extra stuff we'd have to do because of COVID to keep everybody separated and to limit the number of people that are in there. And I did ask her about how many lifeguards do we have, and she said, to be safe, she said the 3. And it has to do with the shape of our pool, which I thought was interesting. And it makes total sense for somebody like me who's swam in that pool since I was 5 years old, which was only about 25 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
It is hard to see, and you need to have those different people, lifeguards in those different areas to make sure that all of those pieces of water are covered. And where the slide goes down, you have to have somebody there. So I don't know, even if you said tomorrow, let's open it up, number one, the repairs, the lifeguards, the manager, and the social distancing, the sanitation, the repairs on the pool house. I mean, there's a lot. And we'll get it fixed. I want to tell everybody that if anybody's listening to this, I know that this commission wants to have that pool up and running for our kids. It is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And we can't do it this year, but it will be in great shape next year.
And I want to also say, one of the things, we actually set some money aside this year to do some of those repairs. Now, we haven't had a chance to get those done. We were hit with COVID right as we were getting into that time where, hey, we can start getting these things done. So what I'm hoping that we can do, and what I'm going to be proposing is that we're going to have another meeting this month. Sorry. And the point, the purpose is that, Billy and I were talking, we really have to have resolutions to move funds that were slated for this year, to move those funds into the capital improvement fund. One of those is the amount of money that we didn't spend on the city hall move. There's about 70,000, 90,000. It's in my brain, but I think left of it is 58,000 that we need to move into capital improvement. And then that 10,000 that we set aside for the pool house, the repairs to the pool house, I wanted to pull that out of this year's budget and put it into that capital improvement, because then it will carry over to next year. So that'll help us out with that. So we would have had it on the agenda tonight, but it was a conversation that Billy and I had, what was it, yesterday? So, yeah.
Any more discussion on the pool? If not, call for a vote, Billy.
Gay,
Yeah.
Reese,
Yes.
Webb.
Yes.
Okay. Going on to item number 17, discussion and possible action with regard to approving the Mangum City Hospital Authority to issue an indebtedness in the approximate amount of $6.2 million in accordance with the advanced payment program, and issue the certificate of beneficial owner in compliance with Oklahoma's public trust statutes to open an account to segregate an account from the general operating funds. Dave?
This
Corey,
can
do you
actually
want to
be
take this?
tabled.
Okay, yeah, Corey. Yeah, Corey probably
Yeah.
needs to.
I was going to
I'm
have
gonna mute
Cassie,
myself.
who's the management company's CFO, on the call today, and I visited with her earlier today. Basically, what happened is that the funding for these types of program is no longer available. Essentially, the program ran out, so this was part of that COVID relief package that the federal government put out. So there's no money available, and so this can actually be tabled at this time.
Oh, okay. All right,
Or we
so
can take no action, actually, would probably be.
no action,
Yeah.
no action on item number 17. Okay. All right, item number 18, discussion and possible action on accepting the recommendation from the Mangum City Hospital Authority to appoint Stacy Van Zant to the board to fill the remainder of Greta Kane's term.
So move.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? Call for a vote.
Reese,
Travis?
I think he turned his
Yes.
mic off. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I don't,
Webb,
Yes.
Gay,
Yeah.
Okay. Motion carries. Item number 19, motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
motion.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, call for a vote, please.
Reese,
Yes.
Gay,
Yeah.
Webb,
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to go right on into the Mangum Utility Authority special meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would you do a roll call, please, Billy?
Scott,
Here.
Reese,
Here.
Bowman, Gay,
Here.
Webb.
Yeah, not here.
Okay, number 3, the consent agenda, the minutes, approve the minutes for the special meeting on May the 7th, the ones on May the 22nd, approve the May 2020 claims, and approve the June 2020 estimated payroll. Is there any item that you'd like to have removed from the consent agenda? If not, I entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion.
Second.
Okay, and a second by Guy. Any discussion? If not, call for a vote, please.
Scott,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Gay,
Yeah.
Webb.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 5, motion to adjourn. Did I entertain a motion?
So move.
I'd make that motion.
One of you
I'll
will
second.
second. Okay,
second.
second. Okay.
Who
call for a
seconded?
vote, please. Yes.
Who was it? Webb seconded?
I'll
Yeah.
second. Yeah.
Whatever you want to put down, Billy.
Okay. Webb,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Gay,
Yeah.
Scott.
Yes. Okay, at this time, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for any of those that viewed our YouTube presentation of our meeting. So if there's nothing else, no comments or anything, we are
Nothing.
done. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And Dave, you'll let us know when the next meeting is.
Yes, I'll put something together for Tuesday of next week, if that's all right. Will that work?
Probably.
You want it at 6? You probably want it at 6, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
I understand it. I mean, if it's something that's real quick, well, no, Ronnie probably couldn't do it at noon, so never mind. That's all right.
Well, I no, I could. If we want to do a noon on Tuesday, I think I could.
What do you guys think about that?
I'm good with either.
Yeah, I'd be fine.
Dave?
Yes, please. I'll take that.
Okay. So let's shoot for
Noon.
Tuesday at noon then.
Yep, that means we're gonna have to get the agenda out by tomorrow at noon. So we'll make it happen.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much for meeting, and we will see you Tuesday then.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Goodbye.